Joey, hey, how's our volume?
Uh, Good. How you doing?
Not bad. Welcome, welcome. Appreciate you sitting down and chatting.
Yeah, of course.
This is uh, this is the first time we've actually met, but it's kind of been a long time coming. I was hoping to sit down
Yeah.
for this COVID stuff, but my goodness, you've been busy.
Yeah, sure.
then then getting out. We were originally going to talk about the WURL a little bit, which we'll get into, but I think we have to almost rewind a little bit, all the way back to triathlon.
Yeah.
you yeah, you were a triathlete in a previous life and then strayed from the path.
Yeah, I don't know. I grew up playing everything and then yeah, I kind of after moving out west a few years of personal training, I kind of jumped into Ironmans as a I don't know, a good way to get back into endurance stuff.
Uh-huh. And then that ran its course. Did you stray from the path before or after? Did you get a calf tattoo of the Ironman logo?
Oh no. No, I'm not that hardcore.
um, we have to. I mean, for folks that don't know about Nolan's, I'll do my best to explain what it is, and then I kind of want to unpack it a little bit. I mean, the Wasatch range and kind of that Buena Vista area, that the route exists in. I actually used to raft guide down in out of Buena Vista, kind of Salida area. It sounds like that's what ultimately maybe took you down to that area to an extent. But for folks who aren't familiar with the route, it's 14,000 foot peaks. In your case, I think you tagged the 15th going north, south to north.
Actually, I didn't. That was my plan, and just the effort, kind of pushed myself a little harder, scratched my eye, and kind of bailed on doing the Holy Nolans. And then I tried to hike Holy Cross like from the car on my way out of town, and we bailed like 500, 600 feet from the top.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And the preamble, how did you end up kind of honing in on Nolan's as far as it wasn't your first go at it, obviously, but what was kind of a bit of the backstory on for you and your relationship with that route?
I mean, it's been on my radar. I've been working on it for 6 years. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, it was all because of coronavirus. I think I had planned on not working this summer and going up to Idaho and Montana and exploring up there.
Hmm.
Haven't done anything up there, so I'm kind of like, I don't know. I thought I'd be a kid in a candy store this summer, and then Corona shuts down, and it was, I think it's always in the back. It's been in the back of my mind for a lot of the last few summers, and I just haven't made it happen. And this summer kind of was looking bleak, and then just kind of got lucky to get out there and thought I'd only have like a week and ended up having like 2 weeks. So it's good.
Yeah, it seems like it went obviously really well for you, and you did it. What I appreciate about a lot of the things that you've done, and originally wanted to chat about the world, which we'll get into, but
Sure.
it seems like you have a pretty good relationship with solitude as a long distance walker, scrambler, runner. You do a lot of stuff unsupported, and it seems like you
Yeah.
uncovered something special on Nolan's as far as kind of your. I'd use the word style to an extent. Um, what was the thought process there? You obviously did quite well unsupported.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, I have a history of kind of solo efforts, long trails, and just doing random projects on my own. I think that comes from like some introvertedness, and also I just find when I try to coordinate, like, the more people you add, the more things can go wrong, scheduling and everything, and I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. And if I don't feel like I'm, like this weekend I wanted to do something, and it's just like, oh nope, my body says no, I'm doing nothing. And I hate bailing on things, and I hate committing to adventures and bailing. And then I hate when people do the same to me, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's totally understandable, but I'm just like, I'm like, oh, I'll just go do my own thing, and
Yeah.
that's easier. So yeah, a lot of experience doing that. The long trails really gave me the confidence, I think, for Nolan's. And yeah, I think just being out there, you realize like no one's gonna help you up over the peaks. No one's gonna help you out of a thunderstorm. No one's, gonna, you're on your own. Like as much as support's nice to be there,
Yeah.
you're on your own. And as long as you don't mind just carrying your credit card and saying, hey, I might bail and try to hitch and maybe I'll spend a night in a hotel, like whatever, like then I think it goes a big way to give you a little extra confidence to just like, I'm going to go and I'm going to go light. And, if things totally hit the fan, I'll just take care of myself. And that's what I have to do.
It seems like it builds
So,
upon itself. And you've done some,
yeah.
I think you're really, really humble in a lot of ways. I think it was the Appalachian Trail that you threw down a really, really good time and kind of knew that you might be able
Yeah.
to better it, and really kind of didn't say much about it, kind of like, is that fair to say? Didn't you had a really good go at the AT, and then
Yeah, I mean, in 2014, I beat the record by a day. I didn't claim the record because I took a car ride into town. I thought I had a stress fracture, so I was trying to take care of my body and everything. And it just happens that my dad lives up there, so car rides are against the rules. So I had 2 days off and went back and still finished a day ahead of the record. And I didn't. I said what I did. I didn't claim the record because I didn't follow the rules, and I thought that was fair. And then also I just knew, like I winged the whole trip, so I was like, yeah, I can go so much faster. Like, why should I even bother claiming it when I should go back and do it right? So I think that was kind of the motivation for the second trip, and yeah.
Is that fair to
So,
say with some of the, I mean, with some of the other stuff you've done where you kind of get into it and then you reel back on it and you go, golly, I could probably shave some time and then go back and,
I don't know. Isn't that just human nature? Like, I think everything I do, I'm just like, oh, I could do that better. I could do that better. Some things you don't care about enough to go back, but I always, kind of, I mean, I think we do that in backcountry skiing. You just like, you get home from your trip and you analyze like what happened and try to be better next time. And that's like a safety thing in backcountry skiing. And running, it's like, well, I could go faster. I might as well get a faster time. So,
yeah. You have now Flash, is that a trail name? Where did Flash come from?
That's my trail name. I got that actually on the approach trail going up Springer the first time. I had these like rainbow yellow New Balance shoes. I had like bright green and pink shorts and a pink shirt. And I passed this lady going up, and then we ended up spending the night at the Springer shelter together. And she was like, you got a trail name? Because I was thinking Flash. And I guess there was another guy there too. Like, I passed them and just like going, like blowing by his guys, just like walking. They're like, oh, like Flash. Like, it makes sense. So, and then I wear a lot of bright colors. I like to be bright. It's just my personality. So, yeah. So I don't know if it's because I'm fast or if it's because I'm bright. Wear bright clothes. So yeah,
could be both. As far as
could be there. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as long walks go. Now the distance on the Appalachian Trail. What's the distance on that for folks at home?
Just under 2,200 miles.
And how long did it take you to complete it?
The first time, 57 days, like 4 hours, and then the second time, 48 days, 23 hours.
And then Pacific Crest Trail, I've heard some previous interviews and kind of how that went. Now, was that the distance on that? What's the distance on for folks at home? Total distance about for
2666, I think.
And you did, from what I've listened and read, you had a torn quad, right? For kind of the last.
That was on the AT.
That was on the AT. Okay.
Yeah. So. My second trip, I just like, I don't know if it was fatigue or what, but just one morning in Massachusetts, I stepped on a rock and it was like hyperextended my knee. And I just felt like a little snap, and it was like, yeah, I tore like a little part of my vastus medialis, and my knee was a basketball for, I don't know, at least a few of the days that I limped on. And for like 9 days, I could barely walk or put any weight on it, and bounced around from my quads to my peroneals and like my plantar or fascia there. So yeah, it was it's a tough time. I call it the limpathon, but yeah.
So continued on through that for a bit.
Yeah, I just like used my poles like crutches and like 3-legged it, and I did like 42.7 miles a day, but I've like every day it was so painful, it just wears on you. Get to a point I couldn't walk anymore and just lay down in the dirt like in tears, like, oh, it hurts so much. And then just I don't know, like the 10th morning after it happened, I like woke up and there was no pain, and I took off 55-mile days from there on.
Wait a minute. So you had you tore some muscle, some medialis, some muscles in the knee, continued on for about 10 days, kind of just grit teeth and bear it. And then things got manageable and you kept going and threw down.
I mean, it was like pain free. Like, I think I had a few issues after that, but yeah, I just woke up one morning and it was like, oh, game on, back to the record attempt. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But I think like the amount of, like when you're pushing yourself through all this pain, it like wore me out, both mentally, spiritually, and also physically. So it was tough. It was tough. I was like born again, felt the like energy, and then kind of had some issues, got really tired and crashed and came back and crashed. But yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that would definitely keep you coming back to pushing yourself, I reckon. That's a pretty incredible experience to get through, and then just keep going. I mean, gosh, that's
I always thought I'd have to like get home and do rehab or surgery, but I was like totally fine afterwards. What the hell?
Yeah, that defies.
So, I don't know.
That defies kind of what we think the body's capable of. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely the long trails put a lot of thoughts in my head of just like, oh, you can do way more than you think. Your body will adapt, or your body will figure it out. So, it was definitely a steep learning curve, but it's helped for sure.
Yeah. There's a climbing mentor of mine I used to ask him, how do you train to be a better alpine climber? And he was like, you go do it. You go climb.
Right.
I was talking with a friend about racing, and I think those folks who've done long walks, you go through so many peaks and valleys emotionally and physically that, I mean, you're pretty well equipped to tackle whatever line you want to draw. You know where that central governor is.
You get a good like head on your shoulders, I think, or helps develop your head on your shoulders to, dealing with it.
When we talk about going fast, I mean, we're talking about these really long trails, but then also something like Nolan's or the WURL, where what's the total distance? And I know it can vary a little bit, but total distance and vert for the Nolan's 14 that you just did.
I think Nolan's, I was like 87 miles, 45,000 vert.
And your time on that?
41 hours.
And for folks at home, you beat the supported time by 5 hours plus.
Yep.
And the unsupported time by 8 hours plus.
Yep.
That's right. And so when we talk about going fast, right? I mean, obviously you looked at the route, you knew what you wanted to do and accomplish. Where's that headspace as far as like pacing yourself on something where you're that high? I mean, we have to talk about the altitude too. You're in this area where it's like, I mean, from fueling, like how do you mentally frame going as fast as you can on something that you're out there all on your own?
I think again, like from the long trails, it's like steady forward progress. I don't think that I went fast per se. I did, but like I didn't take any breaks for 41 hours. I was moving. I stopped twice to retie my shoes. I screwed up with the gaiters and they ripped, and I got rocks in you're going down a lot of screes. So twice my shoes are full of rocks. I untied them, emptied them out, and tied them. And I sat down on a rock and ate a Cliff Bar twice because it was so steep I could barely breathe and eat at the same time. And I pooped. And other than that, I was walking, I was moving, and I think no one else has done that. I don't think people do that. And I also just studied the route so well that all of my effort was put into going down it was like a trail in my mind. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get off the trail, whereas a lot of people essentially get lost in the woods here or there, and then you have the stress, like the losing momentum, and then just like the confidence, preamble to that is like the confidence. Like, I know exactly where I'm going. I'm not worried like, oh, should I be over there? Should I be over here? It's like, just go. So I think, honestly, I don't think that any of my climbs or descents were excessively fast. I mean, I'm obviously not slow, but I think your medium paced run is what I did for 41 hours and
Right.
just dialed it in perfect. So yeah.
Spent a lot of, I mean, and this is probably very hard to say, but you painted the line in your mind, but I mean, there's a lot of off trail work, on that route when we're talking about Nolan's.
Right. And I mean, I guess the same thing with the WURL. Like, I don't know, on both aspects of just I didn't go excessively fast on the WURL per se, but I moved the whole time and I knew exactly where I was going. Actually, there was some snow on White Baldy and Bighorn that kind of pushed me off course. And I remember I was like, oh, there's 5 minutes. And I wasn't even in good shape at that time. Like, I was recovering from a bike tour in the summer, but it's like I had my line. I had done it so many times, and just like that confidence, and just every motion was forward and it's fluid. I didn't quite have quite as good a flow as I did on Nolan's, but it all comes from scouting it a whole bunch and then getting your confidence on that. And on both routes, it's like I didn't move excessively fast, but I didn't waste any energy.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like, as far as the world goes, you had been on all bits and pieces of the route before having to go.
Yeah, I've probably done the whole thing like 10 times. I live up here and I run on pretty much every day, but when you're talking about Ferguson to Alta, I do that as a nice semi-long day on a weekend, and I've probably done that 5 or 6 times on its own.
Yeah.
I've done it 3 times finishing the WURL, and I've done it twice other attempting the record before. So I don't know what's up to 11, 12 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, I mean, I've just done it so many times. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as getting ready, aside from that, for folks who are thinking about the WURL as a route, there's always this question of exposure, and that's kind of a relative term. But how would you grade the exposure, and how folks get comfortable kind of with being tired? I think is the biggest thing on a route like that.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, especially on Nolan's. I think, people get tired, and then you start doing dumb stuff, or you start you let your mind kind of wander, and then as this girl that I met out doing Nolan's, and my friend, she set the women's record on Nolan's a week after I did it, and she talked about a lot of these. She would get places, she had done it before, but she was so tired and delirious from the altitude that she started being like, well, maybe I could try over there, and was trying new things. And it's yeah, you don't want that. I think you want to be like, this is the line, I'm doing it. And I don't know. I think honestly, I've been kind of big into this intermittent fasting, ketosis kind of thing lately. And I say lately, but I've been doing it for 7 years, but I've been more trying to do it more pronounced or better lately. And, I think there's something to be said. Like they say, taking ketone bodies, which is what ketosis is, helps cognitively for like, just like if you're a CEO and you want the cognition benefits. I don't know. Maybe there's something to, I always train fasted and I'm used to being in ketosis in these situations that when I get into the longer stuff, my cognition's a little better. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. So,
I haven't figured that one out.
but well, whatever you're doing, it's working. So,
Right.
as far as what that actually looks like on, say, a 24-hour push or 15-hour push, what does that look like for fueling for you, like on the WURL, for example?
So I don't eat much. I think on the WURL I might have consumed. I put like a bunch of Gatorade out, and I don't know. That was probably a good idea. A little Gatorade powder with salt. And so I got some carbohydrates there, and forgive me, I don't have the exact numbers, but I would guess, let's see, like 7 liters of Gatorade, and that's like, I don't know. I probably watered it down a bit, but that's probably like almost 1,000 calories. It's just carbs, and I had a few Monster energy drinks. I guess Kim brought me one, and Grant brought me one, so that had some calories. And I think I had like half of a bagel, and I made these like rice energy things that were just like mushy, whatever, but they're easier to eat because they were like liquid. So I might have had 2,000 calories for the WURL.
Okay.
So yeah, and I had 5,400 for Nolan. So, and that's like 2 days. So yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just like, you're bumping, you're putting a little something in your stomach to settle it and a little something to keep you going, but pretty much running on like, my body already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And drawn, not to be future focused, but if COVID wasn't going on, or maybe even with COVID in mind, and this is the new normal for a bit, where's your headspace now? You're on a roll.
Yeah.
You're really strong. I mean, where's your head at now as far as future?
Well, I'll tell you. Like I said, this week was a mess. Yeah, this is my midsummer break, I'm calling it, because I was in bed the last 3 days, pretty much all day. I work here from home, so it's like I went in for a little bit, but had to leave to lay down. And I wouldn't say I slept the whole time, but I like watched a movie, back to sleep, watched a movie, and my body's like, I'm pretty tired. I don't know. I'm not exactly sore or anything like that, but just tired, like systemically. So I'm working with that right now. And, I think with COVID, I'm kind of stuck here, at least through maybe mid-September. So probably a lot of stuff in the Uintas. I haven't really done much out there. I think I can swing like 3-day weekends or 4-day weekends if I really want to, but still got to be back to work my hours for the week. So I don't know. You went to Highline Trail, Yo-Yo, and the Utah 13ers are the two that I'm kind of trying to work on if I can get my body around. So yeah.
Have you?
And
go ahead.
I don't know. And I'm just like, if I can't get my body, I got to respect my body and not trash it. I think I put in a huge effort with the months leading up to Nolan's and the Nolan's. And so I'm just playing it safe, but like, in the fall, I mean, I might just have 2 months off, and I don't know, I'm kind of like thinking Arizona Trail, Colorado Trail, something a little bigger, something really wreck my body for the end of the summer. I don't know. Yeah.
Recover and then go again. Yeah. Bounce back.
That's like every year, every season's like this for me. So some years I go big in the winter and then just like struggle through the summer. And I like summer, so I try not to do that anymore. But yeah, but every year's a little different. But I usually wreck myself at some point.
Bounce back. A little adrenal fatigue is tricky. It'll creep up on you.
Oh yeah.
Bouncing back. And how can people, you've done some really great writing about what you're up to on long form writing on your blog, and
Yeah.
where can people access kind of what you're up to and where you're headed, and kind of read up on some of the stuff we talked about?
Well, I mean, for definitely for everything I do, I usually write a trip report. I think that's a nice thing that people should do when they do FKTs, even if it's just, page long or whatever. But I always like take it and go excessive. It's a story time for me. So, like my WURL write up is on there. I had tried to do full write ups, like daily write ups for the long trails, and sometimes, like my first time, I did it on my phone at night and was like, this is stupid. And then I tried to write it afterwards, and that's really hard because it's fresh, and then you crash, and then you don't even want to think about it anymore. So some of those are on there. You can find some interesting ramblings, but yeah, like my trip reports will be, I just post them to the blog because I don't know where else to. But day-to-day stuff, I mean, Instagram is really the only thing. Or you can stalk me on Strava, and you can pretty much see what I'm doing.
Good deal. We'll put that in the show notes as far as the long form on the blog
Yeah.
and Strava. And Golly, thanks so much for joining us. We'll
Yeah, of course.
hope to see you out there. Rest up and keep crushing it, man.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, thanks so much. Have a good one. Ciao, ciao.